Hello, welcome to the IChemE Global Awards 2020 Public Engagement Webinar. My name is Dr. Nooryusmiza Yusoff from HWUM University, Malaysia. The title of my presentation is Biogas and Green Fertilizer for Indigenous Communities in Bintulu Division. Before we begin, I would like to introduce my project collaborators and partners. Dr. Tapan Kumar of University of Nottingham, Malaysia. Professor Abdul Halim Shamsuddin of University Tenaga Nasional or UNITEN. Professor Chan Tarapon Palkon Kulut of King Mongkut University. Dr. Ng Chung Aun of Utah or University Tunku Abdul Rahman. And lastly, Dr. Yuda Pramyudia of Telkom University. This project aimed at conducting a feasibility study on generation of biogas and green fertilizer from organic waste and their potential utilizations by indigenous communities living around Bintulu, Sarawak, Malaysia. Social, economic, environmental and technical aspects related to the project were discussed in a feasibility report. Our project is nicely aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We would like to improve the health and well-being of women and children, allow communities to be resilient and sustainable, ensure equality in energy distribution among urban and rural areas. The main output from this project is a feasibility report, which contains a mixture of official and online survey data on the amount and types of organic waste available in areas within and surrounding the remote villages in Bintulu Division. The availability of the data is important as we can infer how much biogas can be potentially produced by the rural communities and/or the areas surrounding their villages. In this work, we managed to survey 60 villages with a total population of 7,352 people. We were also interested with the locations of these villages to visualize how far they are from the nearest cities. Another output is an interactive Google map with link available in the description below. The map shows locations and directions of relevant district offices in Bintulu Division, some of the villages that we surveyed via online questionnaire, and livestock farms. Bintulu is the 5th largest division in Sarawak, with a growing population of over 200,000 people and a total area of 12,166 square kilometres. It is known with its active industrial activities due to the availability of fossil fuel, especially natural gas. This had contributed to the fast urbanization of Bintulu and increment of population from 194,200 in the year 2000 to 220,048 in the year 2010. Half, or about 48% of Bintulu population are indigenous communities, and parts of them are still living with electricity supply with only a few hours a day, especially in Tatau and Sabah districts. The only viable option they had was to rely on diesel fuel to electrify their houses, schools, and other amenities, especially the one lives in the rural parts of Tatau and Sabah districts. For instance, it was reported that rural schools in Bintulu Division were depending on diesel-powered generators for their electricity supply and had to ration their diesel supply to avoid getting into darkness. Based on information provided by district officers in Tatau and Sabah, we contacted several village heads and ran online survey or questionnaire. We received replies from 60 village heads representing 47 villages in Tatau district and 13 villages in Sabah district. Some of the villages could be pinpointed on Google Maps based on the geolocations provided in the survey. The farthest village, Umar Nyabeth, is located near Belaga. It is about 176 km away from Tatau City. This Kenya Community Longhouse consisted of 38 homes with a total population of 390. the highest population among all villages in Tatau district. Biogas is a clean energy when it comes to heating or cooking. It has the potential to replace the usage of firewood and common cooking gas, namely liquefied petroleum gas or LPG, which could be expensive for rural communities. In fact, usage of firewood for cooking will deteriorate the health and welfare of these communities, especially women, which normally spend long hours doing the house chores. Research showed biogas application avoid women from depending on firewood for cooking, which is known to produce hazardous smoke. This has an adverse effect on the children's health and academic performance when they were often tasked to aid their mothers preparing food for the family. Research conducted in Southeast India also demonstrated that households using biogas diversify their diet and thus improve the nutrient intake of the family members. This was because the women in the affected communities were able to spend on average 40 minutes less for cooking and 70 minutes less for collecting firewood per day. However, we could not verify these facts for the Bintulu case due to movement restriction imposed by the government. A total of 30 out of 60 villages that we surveyed had no access to 24 hours electricity. Most of them depended on diesel. One village is still dependent on kerosene for lighting and cooking. The weekly cost of diesel vary with the highest at 250 ringgit and the lowest 25 ringgit. The cost of diesel depends largely on its utilization and the size of the generator sets. For example, the highest weekly diesel cost was due to electricity generation for about 6 hours per night. We would like to thank Bintulu Residence Office for approving this work, and Sarawak government agencies, namely Department of Agriculture, Department of Veterinary Services, District Officers of Sabah and Tatau for their cooperation and sharing relevant data. Special thanks to Jerosen Jubin, a community leader of Tatau District, and Baiti Tini Nike, an officer at Sabah District Office, for helping us with the distribution of online survey to the heads of villages located in Sabah and Tatau districts. Lastly, we appreciate the help of Mr. Elias Budiman Rahmat, a senior laboratory technician of Harvard University Malaysia, in modifying a 1,000-litre IBC tank into a biogas digester. If you require more information, please contact me, Dr. Nooryusmiza Yusoff, at the following address, or email me at n.yusoff@hw.ac.uk, or call me at the following telephone numbers.